Hey Omnibus Collectors, it's Riley and I'm back with another Omnibus of the Week. This week we're going to be talking about Captain America, The Return of the Winter Soldier, which is the fifth and final Omnibus volume of Ed Brubaker's whole Captain America run. So I've already done videos for the first four. I'll put links down below in case you haven't seen them. I did the fourth one, Trial of Captain America, pretty recently, and then I wanted to make sure that I rounded it all off and did this one soon, because it didn't come out too terribly long ago. I think maybe a month or so ago is when this one came out. So I've really been building up to filming a video about this one. So like I said, it does conclude the whole Brubaker run on Captain America. If you're already, chances are if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with the rest of Brubaker's run, but if you're not, a quick run through. He has the 5 total omnibus. He started out with the story that reintroduced Bucky as the Winter Soldier. The second volume is titled The Death of Captain America, which is what it sounds like, and that takes place after the whole Civil War story arc, which culminated with, at the end of it, not related to Civil War, but afterwards, with Steve getting shot. And then in Death of Captain America, we see Bucky become Captain America. The third volume is called Captain America Lives, which sees Bucky as Captain America, and then we see Steve coming back from the dead. And when he comes back, that leads into the fourth omnibus, The Trial of Captain America, which has Steve deciding that Bucky should go on and keep on being Captain America while he becomes Steve Rogers' Super Soldier. And there's a mini-series included there that has him as that character, and he also did that in Secret Avengers, the first 12 issues that were written by Ed Brubaker. Meanwhile, Bucky continues to be Captain America and goes and does all these different adventures, and he has, in that book, was a kind of a trilogy of events that had Bucky being tried for his crimes of the past and eventually sent to a Russian gulag, and that went straight into a new Captain America series that spins out of the events of the Fear Itself storyline, and that's kind of where we find ourselves now with this fifth volume. So I got you guys up to speed. You can watch my other videos and get a better idea of what the content was like in there. I know that the first 3 volumes of this series are unfortunately out of print and go for pretty high prices, especially that second one right now, and we're all hoping that they're going to reprint those earlier volumes, especially given how popular the Captain America movies have been in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. I'm gonna look into the inside of the book and show you guys some pages and stuff. Alright, so here we've got the dust jacket to the omnibus, a really nice image of Steve with the shield and a flag, and then if we look at the background, there's a bunch of different characters, main villains and heroes and various characters who appear throughout this run on Captain America. Spine of the book, pretty standard. The back cover has an image of Bucky from one of the Winter Soldier covers. And then here is the information on the back. So pause the video now if you want to read that. Down here we have the information of all the issues included within this book. This collects Captain America and Bucky, numbers 620 through 628. Fear Itself, Book of the Skull, number 1. Fear Itself 7.1, Captain America. Winter Soldier 1 through 14, and Captain America 2011, 11 through 19. All that material really wraps up his run. The first 10 issues of that Captain America series were actually in the 4th volume. The inside of the dust jacket, Ed Brubaker completes his Ballad of Bucky Barnes. And then there's all of this describing what is in this book. So once again, y'all can pause the video here if you want to read that. And on the other inside flap, there is the creator profiles. Ed Brubaker, Mark Andreyko, James Asmus, Colin Bunn, Chris Samney, Francesco Francavilla, Butch Juice, Patrick Zurcher, Scott Eaton, Steve Epting, and Michael Lark. And we can take a look at the book without the dust jacket on. Just like the 4th omnibus, they have an image of the shield on the cover, and on the spine over here, it just has the title, Captain America, Return of the Winter Soldier. Then very quickly, I just want to show the binding on this one. It is a little bit tighter than some other books that have been released recently. That eye hole is not as large as it has been on Marvel books, but there's still not a lot of gutter loss. And if I open it, from the very front of the book, it doesn't flap shut on you, and the very same will be true from the very back of the book. One page, I have like one page flipped, but yeah, pull back a few pages and nothing happens. So you're very much able to read this book without having to worry about keeping those pages down, because like all of Marvel's omnibus volumes, the binding is really, really nice stitched binding. I'm going to take a look at some of the inside pages. Red flyleaf, title page, Captain America Return of the Winter Soldier. And then we've got the table of contents page. This is mostly organized by, the order of the issues, but it is also organized to show us which writers and artists are on each book, or on each issue rather. So if you want to, pay attention to what's in there, just go ahead and pause the video at any point. You can see, the order of the book, which creators worked on each issue. Up here it goes into the Captain America, and then we get some more Winter Soldier, and then the final issue of Captain America. And then, of course, editors on the book. And then we go straight into the story, starting with, this is the cover for the first issue of Captain America and Bucky. So Captain America and Bucky, we start with number 620, because this is spinning out of the Captain America series starring Bucky Barnes before they started the new Captain America series for the new number 1. And for about 9 issues, 2 different arcs, we saw 2 different writers join in with Ed Brubaker. It was James Asmus and Mark Andreyko, and then 2 awesome artists. And this one you can see it's Chris Samnee, who's popular from his work on Daredevil with Mark Waid, and who's also known for Thor, the Mighty Avenger, with Roger Langridge. So this series was flashbacks that talked about, back in the war and whatnot, whenever Bucky was younger and teamed with Captain America. So it was just a nice flashback series that ran alongside the main Captain America series. So you can see a lot of nice artwork here by Chris Samnee. Classic invaders here: Human Torch, Toro, Bucky, Namor, and Cap beating up a Nazi. And so they had 2 different series running at the same time, because at this time the first movie had just been released, and so Captain America, they, obviously they're trying to push the character and the popularity of him and all that in the comics, so of course they would make a franchise out of it and started up with making 2 different books. So this first arc, like I said, would run for a few issues with art by Chris Samnee, and then it gets into the second arc called Old Wounds, in which Francesco Francavilla comes on to the book. And I personally really freaking love Francesco Francavilla. He's one of my favorite artists. I love his painted style. Currently he's doing Afterlife with Archie, and that series is just phenomenal. The artwork is amazing, and the writing is just on point. And he does a great job here as well. Francavilla is really, really good at, I think, portraying, horrific scenes. Like I said, he did Afterlife with Archie, and he also did The Black Mirror on Batman with Scott Snyder. Nice 2-page spread with Francavilla on the art. And then after the 2 Cap and Bucky stories finish, it goes straight into Fear Itself, Book of the Skull. Fear Itself was an event that happened, I guess, around 2011, written by Matt Fraction. And it really wasn't a great storyline, but some cool stuff did happen relating to Ed Brubaker's Captain America series. So this was a prologue to the event itself, and it was written by Ed Brubaker. Just show a few pages of the art from there. There will be some spoilers on the next page, so if you do not want spoilers for what happens in this book, please skip forward or something. In the aftermath of Fear itself, and there's a nice probably description of what happened here, so you guys can check that out, pause the video if you want to read that. In the aftermath of Fear itself, or during Fear itself, we saw Sin, the daughter of the Red Skull, kill Bucky. And so there's Steve holding Bucky. And this was the Fear itself 7.1 Captain America issue. And so in this issue, you know, it's a lot of remembrance of Bucky and whatnot, but we wind up seeing that Nick Fury has taken Bucky's body and he's giving him his Infinity Serum so that he can go on and keep living, but the rest of the world can't know that Bucky is alive. So Bucky comes back to life, and at the end of this issue winds up becoming, once again, the Winter Soldier. So this aftermath issue for Fear itself actually led straight on into the ongoing Winter Soldier series, which, crap, I have to go back. All right, rewind this. All right, starting again from here. So, at the during the Fear itself event, we actually saw Sin, the daughter of the Red Skull. I'm going to zoom in here in case you guys want to read the description of the events of Fear itself. Sin would kill Bucky. And so that's why we have this image over here of Steve holding up Bucky. So Sin kills Bucky, and then, you know, there's the aftermath of that, and everyone's sad, there's a funeral and all that jazz. But then it's revealed that Nick Fury actually took Bucky's body, and rather than letting him die, gave him the Infinity Serum that he uses to stay young. So Bucky is back to life, and he's youthful and strong and all that. And this issue ends with him, you know, riding off and once again becoming the Winter Soldier, because the world cannot know that Bucky is still alive. There are a select few people that know that Bucky is alive after Fear itself, but the rest of the world, it's supposed to be a secret. So then the Winter Soldier series started. Brubaker's run lasted for 15 issues with several different artists, Jackson Juice and Michael Lark being artists that worked on it with him. The series would go on after Brubaker left the book, but it would be written by Jason Latour, if I am not mistaken. It was a really awesome book. I really enjoyed it personally. Had some really interesting storylines with some really awesome artwork, as you can see here, from various different artists. So I personally thought that it was really great. I think it was better than the last, you know, chunk of Captain America issues that Brubaker was doing at the time. But everyone has their own opinion. So I'm just going to flip through some pages here. You can check out some of the cool artwork. And of course, there's also the Captain America series in here. Here's issue number 11, starts this segment of the book. This is the first part of the Shock to the System story arc. Got some nice Patrick Zircher artwork on there. So this is the third arc in the 2011 Captain America series that was once again starring Steve Rogers. And as I mentioned before, the first couple of arcs are collected in the fourth omnibus. So this arc sees Cap fighting against Scourge or Scourge. And I'm a particular fan of Patrick Zircher's artwork. I think that he's a pretty great artist. And here he does a really good job teaming up with Ed Brubaker. There's another nice Zircher cover right here for the fourth part of Shock to the System. I really do enjoy his art. I think he did a really great job on this series. There's a real dynamic quality to the way that Zircher draws the character, which I think works really well for an action title like this one. And then it gets into Captain America number 15, which is the beginning of the final arc of this series. New World Orders Part 1. On this arc, we would see Scott Eaton take over as the artist. We would see elements from throughout Brubaker's Captain America run coming to a head in here, so this arc does really work well to wrap up his whole series. And of course, no big finale would be complete without a big action-packed final battle, which did take place in these last issues. And then we get to issue number 18, which is the penultimate issue of this run. And after this issue, after New World Orders Part 4, this book leads back into Winter Soldier for the final arc on that series. And with number 6 on Winter Soldier, we get the second arc of this series, titled Broken Arrow. And as we pretty much come to expect, there is a lot of really awesome looking artwork throughout this storyline as well. For the sake of moving this video forward at a brisk pace, I'm going to jump ahead to Winter Soldier number 10, which starts the final storyline in this series as written by Brubaker, Black Widow Hunt. And of course we continue to have really awesome artwork. Butch Juice, in his work on Captain America and the Winter Soldier, I think he really tries to emulate Jim Steranko's style from the classic issues, but giving them a more modern spin, which I think really works well and stands out quite a bit on this title. There's a very kinetic style of art going around here, very action-packed, really beautiful stuff. And then jumping forward, we see next Captain America number 19, like I mentioned, is the final issue of the whole run. Wraps up everything that Brubaker was doing on both Cap and on Winter Soldier. A lot of various artists join him for the final issue on this run, and it kind of goes through showing Cap's history and all the different characters that he met along the way. And at the end, he rides off into the sunset. There's a nice goodbye to Cap from Ed Brubaker. So if y'all want to read that, you can see if you can pause the video here if you want to read whatever he has to say about his tenure on Captain America. Because he did write for like over 100 issues altogether for a long time. It was very, very lengthy run. And of course, no omnibus is complete without a back matter section. And as most of them, this one begins with some variant covers. There is Captain America and Bucky number 20, and then Fear Itself, Book of the Skull number 1. Fear Itself 7.1 variant, Winter Soldier number 1 variant. Another Winter Soldier, 2 more Winter Soldier number 1 variants. Winter Soldier number 4, Art Appreciation variant. Captain America 19 variant. Another Cap 19 variant. And some cover processes for Winter Soldier number 7 by Steve Epting. And we have some nice pencil art from Michael Lark for issue number 7 of Winter Soldier. Some more pencil art. And one last page of pencil art. So this one is kind of thin on the back matter, but altogether it's a really nice looking book with a lot of amazing artists within. So I think that it's a very successful final volume to finish off collecting Ed Brubaker's seminal run on Captain America. So that was Captain America, Return of the Winter Soldier by Ed Brubaker and a bunch of other awesome creators. Really awesome book. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Check out my website at www.theomnibuscollector.com. Check out my new Facebook page, The Omnibus Collectors Comic Swap. There's a great community on both the site and on the Facebook page. I'd love for all of y'all to join in with the discussions and stuff. As always, be excellent unto each other, and I hope y'all have a great one. We'll see you next time.